From this day forward, you will become sparrows, weapons in a global struggle for power.
Every human being is a puzzle of need. You must learn to intuit what is missing, become the missing piece, and they will give you anything.
Take off your clothes.
Jennifer Lawrence stars as an ex-ballerina turned spy in the thriller Red Sparrow. With more on this and other new releases this week, I want to bring in Richard Crouse, film critic and host of Pop Life. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, nice to see you.
Jennifer Lawrence is back.
Jennifer Lawrence is back for the last time for a while. She says she's taking a year off after this. She's been making movies one after the other, sometimes two a year for years now. She wants a bit of time off, so this will be our last glimpse of her for some time. And, you know, it's kind of too bad that it's this movie. And I didn't hate this, but she plays a ballerina, as you said, who's injured in a very terrible way. And her career is cut short, and she has to find a way to pay for her apartment and pay for her mother's medical care. The Russian ballerina company ballet company that she was working with was paying for all that. Now that she's not dancing, she's not getting that money. So her uncle comes in and says, listen, I work for the government. If you do a couple of little simple jobs for me, I can make sure that you are set up. And she becomes a sparrow. And a sparrow is a spy who is trained to use their bodies to manipulate and seduce and get information from people. Her first job is to manipulate, seduce, and get information from a CIA agent. And then I won't tell you anything that happens after that because there are twists and turns. This movie isn't an action film. People thought that it was going to be like Atomic Blonde, which came out with Charlize Theron a little while ago, that it was going to be high-kicking and lots of that kind of thing. It's not that. It really is more about the espionage. The scenes of violence that are here, though, are skin-crawling. They are ugly. There's torture here that is very uncomfortable to watch. The movie, I felt, started off kind of strong and then devolved as it went along into something else. And by the time she's recounting events at the very end and they're showing flashbacks, it kind of reminded me of an episode of Columbo where they would, at the end, sort of try and wrap all the loose ends up. It goes on a little bit too long. But Jennifer Lawrence, as always, is tremendous in this. She is a superstar, and you see it in every frame that she's in. So I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. If she wasn't in this, it would get like 1.5.
Okay. You really make it sound good, though. Gotta give you credit for that. Death Wish.
Okay. So from 1974 to 1994, Charles Bronson made these Death Wish films. For 20 years, he played Paul Kersey, a guy who was an architect, whose daughter and wife were assaulted and killed, and then he became a vigilante, cleaning the streets of bad people. And they were controversial when they came out in the 1970s. They sparked debates on gun control and should, people take the law into their own hands. That is exactly the conversation we're still having in a lot of ways about gun control. And this movie, now starring Bruce Willis, doesn't really answer any of these questions. It could have been a poignant story about a guy who was trying to deal with his grief and finds an unusual outlet for it, but there's nothing poignant about this movie. It could have been a movie that answered the question, when does a good guy with a gun going after the bad guys with a gun become the bad guy himself? Could have answered that, and it doesn't. It treats him as some sort of avenging hero and doesn't really suggest that normalizing this very dangerous behavior is maybe not such a great thing. I gave it 2.5 stars. Bruce Willis, again, star power coming out the wazoo, but it's not a particularly good movie.
Okay. Richard, thank you so much.
You.
Richard Crouse, film critic and host of Pop Life.